Hello and welcome to another episode of the Never a Straight Answer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joining me in the studio, well, he's sometimes known as Tiramisu Taylor. Well, he's also my co-host. It's Mr. Tiramisu Taylor.
Yeah, good evening everybody. Welcome.
Welcome back to a historically sad week.
Yes.
And installment of the show.
Yeah.
But as always, thank you for for new listeners and repeat offenders for joining us today.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It has been a bit of a weird week.
Oh, has it? Look at how
it's been a historical week for the UK,
Yes.
the United Kingdom,
Yes.
with a new
Prime Minister. Yeah.
Liz Truss.
Yeah.
First of all, going down to Balmoral to meet the Queen, as all Prime Ministers do.
Yeah, that's right.
And then only days later, the Queen tragically passed away.
dying, yeah.
Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's like I'm not a royalist, but it kind of hit me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I think it's hit a lot of people in a lot of different ways and very unexpectedly.
Yeah. Worldwide as well. That's the big thing about it. It's not just us in the UK.
Now we do have a show for you. It's not
We do.
generally going to be about the what's happened with the Queen.
money, yeah.
We did have. I mean, we had an episode planned, so we
Yeah.
think we want to talk about what's happened, but we don't want to kind of like dedicate a whole show to it.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of carry on with what was expected, what we were planning.
That's right,
But we
yeah.
are going to have a bit of a chat about
about
Her
what's
Majesty,
been going on. Yeah.
at the beginning of the show. So like, bear with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everyone's got different opinions. Some people, are real like kind of royalists, and kind of really love the
Deep
royal
into
family.
the royal, yeah.
I know we've got a lot of listeners from across the pond in America, and there's a lot of people from the States who really like the royal family, and I think the fact that Harry's gone over to live in the States kind of bridges that connection between us and them, and kind of gives them maybe a bit more of a royal family.
A bit of us.
Not a big fan of the royals in general, but I think they do a lot for a lot of different countries, as well as a lot for the UK. Now, there was one thing that's kind of cropped up during this week. Is how many kind of world leaders that she actually, had sit-down chats with. And kind of like helped
Immense.
kind of, govern how they did things and how they, made decisions. You've got Canada, Trudeau, and, you've got our Prime Minister who does sit-down chats. But then also all the Commonwealth countries.
Australia, like you said, Canada.
And how many of them, kind of look to her as the sort of leader that, they kind of aspire to be. In terms of leaders have come and gone, but I mean, in my life, there's only ever been one queen, and the Queen's been this sort of constant, and that keeps coming up in the
Mother of the nation.
And I think that's why it's hit people a bit more, because everybody can relate to losing a grandparent or a parent or somebody, and because the Queen's always been there throughout our lives. That she's almost like part of the family in that sense. And it is sad. It's kind of
been a hard loss, man.
The thing is, it's all the changes that are going to come from this now. With
new change now.
I mean, aside the obvious, people say, "Oh, we're going to have new money. We're going to have stamps." The Royal Mail's got all this like a Liz stuff all over it, and what's going to change just like kind of like aesthetically compared to what's going to happen in geopolitics, and that's what's the worrying thing. I mean, Charles himself, I mean, I know he's been told off for getting involved in politics, which his mother never did.
A lot of times.
She's kind of almost like a symbol in the respect that she kind of kept out of it, but never really kind of gave her opinions on the political landscape. Which probably
and they would have private chats anyway, you know what I mean?
And I think that's where she'd air those opinions more often than, publicly.
Yeah, totally.
Is Charles going to... I mean, this is the thing. There's a lot of policies, there's a lot of things that are in place because they've had a respect for the Queen. Right? And it kind of makes me wonder, are things going to go ahead that wouldn't have gone ahead a week ago because the respect for the new king
I think things will just be delayed.
Isn't really kind of there. Nobody's really kind of like set in motion like that sort of, the long-term respect that they had isn't there anymore. I mean, and does that mean that things can change quickly or?
Well,
it's interesting. I think kind of the next couple of years is going to be a very interesting couple of years. Another thing is, we'll never see another queen again because the next 3 generations of monarchs are all male. Yeah. So it'll be king.
Well, then again, not
almost
necessarily.
A full house.
Yeah. Unless something happens, hopefully not. But unless something happens, then we won't see it for the next 3 generations.
I mean, what are your thoughts about it? I mean, how did it make you feel? What I mean, firstly,
gutted. First off, gutted. Well, gutted. I knew she was on her way. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I wanted her to have at least another something like 5 years and break the world record.
It's interesting because she's had a jubilee, and I mean it's been a big year for the Queen.
A lot of kids have learned about.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of kids have been told or kind of realised how important she is as a figure, and then she's taken, and it's sad because it's all happened within the space of this year. Obviously, the world and the UK's had a bit of a hard time, but and lost people during COVID.
Yes,
the Queen herself lost someone during COVID. She lost her husband, and then they was kind of not able to even.
It's a poor sight seeing the Queen sat on her own.
Exactly, I was about to say that. I mean, that must have been heartbreaking for her. I mean, she's had a tough year. I mean, we can go down the other reasons why she'd had a tough year.
Yes,
with
another son,
with her sons and grandsons, and doing kind of bits and pieces that are putting stress on.
Yeah,
but exactly. I mean, but I feel like even to the last minute, she was kind of still. Performing her duties, and she, there was a thing about whether she, what she'd be known as in history.
Yeah,
and
I was just about to say.
I think that's a perfect summary of Her Majesty the Queen, as Elizabeth the Great. And I think that totally suits her. Personality, her stoicism.
I don't think it goes far enough, to be honest.
No.
You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I would agree. I would totally agree. And no matter if you're a royalist or not, having that respect for this woman who's been there your entire life, who's been a symbol and, a good representative for our country.
Yeah, totally,
You can't ask for more, really. I mean, in terms of world leaders, the Queen is...
Queen's been there, she's seen it.
In fact, I'd say the Queen was probably, if not the greatest world leader we've ever had.
Yeah, you know what? For the times, I've got to agree. Yeah. She was put in a perfect position, I think, through that timeline of
where she was exactly, because I mean she was a young woman, and this is the thing, you see, because there was a lot of people of advanced years on her when she became the Queen, who might have taken the idea that we've got this young, impressionable Queen, as somebody who could be easily manipulated.
Totally.
And I hope that never happened, but I mean, she doesn't seem like the type of person who would have been easily swayed by these type of people.
But then again, I reckon I think there was some persuasion in certain camps, but I don't think much to
no, you know what I mean. I mean, in a negative sense, that could have ruined her or ruined her reputation, or even kind of got her in the headlines in one way or another. She was very kind of professional in her approach to being the monarch. So I think
she took it seriously, and she did a very good job.
Well, we've got information that a funeral's going to be held. It's a state funeral, which is going to be held on the 19th of September.
Yes, 11 a.m.
Which is going to be a bank holiday Monday.
It is.
And the king is... Because this is another thing, people kind of assume that there'd be this sort of mourning period of where, when one monarch dies, that the next is kind of like... We know that there's going to be a coronation, or there's going to be a new king or a new monarch, but it's kind of really surprising how fast that happens, because I mean, it was like even when the last king died, the Queen was basically anointed the next day. She became the Queen the day after her father died, not really giving much time for grief.
Well, it was 48 hours that we finally had King Charles III, and for the first couple of hours as well, do you know what his name was?
king.
Just king, yeah.
The king.
He gets to choose what we call him. So he could have said King George the Seventh or whatever. He could have said Elvis Presley, and we'd have to
call him the King Elvis for the next however.
Yeah, but
all real
good
King
enough.
Elvis.
He did. Charles
I don't think
III.
I'm going to be able to get used to doing the God Save the King.
Yeah,
hip,
yeah.
hip.
I did it when the troops called it. I did the hip hip.
I kind of like the idea that we can see all the pomp and ceremony now.
For the first time, for the prince as well for the first time.
Yeah, I mean the prince is Prince of Wales as well. He's been promoted.
Been upgraded. Yeah, he has. He's got a bit more of a busy schedule.
Well,
now.
It's a shame because, like I said earlier, I mean, I wanted to avoid more of the kind of stuff about the new king until a bit later on in the show because of the idea of the for that reason, that the idea that they're not mourned very much. I mean, they must be. I mean, obviously that's his mother and grandmother and all the rest of it, and
he's got a lot more mourning.
He's got, but there's a lot of kind of also a lot of responsibility all of a sudden thrust on him.
But
and
they've got to give him some time. They've got to give him at least a couple of weeks to set to like get things in perspective and work out what he's done. But I think one of the best things that have come out of this is the two brothers coming together and actually
because they've had a bit of a turbulent
issues over the last couple of
period,
years,
haven't they? And I mean, I think obviously that they do say that, don't they? The one thing that brings families together is weddings and funerals, and I mean, it's sad as it is.
Yeah,
sometimes it can mend fences and bridges and whatnot. So
it's hoping it does because it's a good start, and I don't. Things have changed now from what it was like a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? It's a new era. And the last time
definitely that. Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot of people are going to have different opinions, and we'd love to hear your opinions. If you've got anything you'd like to add about that, just give us a shout or leave us a comment.
Yeah, please do.
We've got a lot coming up in the show.
We are.
Like I said, we did have a topic. I don't even know if I mentioned it. I did mention it last week, so you might have an idea.
Yeah.
And if you've read the title of the episode, you could have an idea there as well.
Yeah, just a little bit.
This week we're going to be looking at the Satanic Panic. That kind of rushed the 80s, the 90s, and still kind of going on today. I mean, the Satanic Panic is it's an interesting topic, and we'll be looking into it in a little bit later on. I mean, Expelliarmus. You could be exposing your kids to satanic dark magic.
In fact, I would actually go as far to say you're at least done it once. At least
done a bit of dark magic?
No, showing your kids a little dark about a little dark magic.
Well, this is it. You see, we'll be going into the Satanic Panic. You've heard the phrase. People know what the think. What is that? We'll tell you about it in a bit. But that's coming up very shortly in the show. Plus the random weekly events, world news, and just our general chit chat.
Yes, it will be.
So, what has actually been going on in your week, Mr. Taylor? It's been a bit of an odd one.
It's been. It has, It's been an up and down one, I'd say. Yeah, at the beginning of the week, it was like, got a new prime minister, sweet. Like, I hope it isn't either of them. But
well, I think Liz Truss has had like a bit of an interesting week so far, considering it has been her first week. She's had a lot to contend with.
Got a lot on the plate.
Handled it quite reasonably well.
Yeah,
so
she's kept in the background, hasn't she? I'd say she's kept in the background, kept herself in view, but kept herself away from any trouble. Because she's yet to get into Parliament and start, backing up what she's saying and ruffing up feathers,
and cutting our taxes. Don't forget.
Yes.
So I mean, I know it's been So, have you been up to anything personally, or has it just been like watching a bit of the telly?
I've just since Queen, I've been watching quite a bit of that, but no, really, I've just been working, to be honest. Just sorting out little bits here and there. You know what I mean?
I've been doing quite a lot of work, but I've basically, do you know, last week we did the birthday episode.
We did.
I had a bit of toothache.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
By the Tuesday, I had to have the tooth out. It's been a bit of an up and down week for me in that respect, because I was fine one minute.
Yeah.
Hurt like in agony the next, and then I had a dentist appointment luckily already booked, so I went and I had to have a tooth out. So then once that happened, it was better, but it's still kind of been in a bit of a grouchy mood. And then that happened, And it's just been one of those. I mean, one more thing I'll add about this is like the advertisement boards in the UK. Do you know, like anything like a big street advertisement?
Yeah.
Usually we've got these kind of electronic ones now that kind of put on a loop.
Yeah.
Advertisements. Right. Literally every advertisement billboard in Manchester was dedicated to the Queen. And I think there was something about not being able to put advertisements up that day.
Yeah,
which I thought was a really nice thing to do, you know, because obviously, but it was weird seeing so many. Do you know what I mean? Because and it kind of highlighted how many adverts were subjected to.
Well, it kind of
when they're all the same image. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's sort of kind of. I sort of know what you mean about the week being, you know, like from bad to like good to bad, but realizing that tomorrow or actually today is 9/11.
Anniversary
the anniversary of that's 21 years I think it is now, and it's like what a list, you know, for a 1 week.
I feel suddenly bummed out.
You know
had to go and top the icing on with the cherry on top.
And that's not to deal with anything else that we've already got issues with, you know what I mean? It's like,
I think like, do you know what, September we should all just kind of avoid like
avoid September.
Yeah, September's a little bit of a pants month really, isn't it?
Hermit time.
We'll stay in bed. Basically, other than that, I've just been on a bit of a recovery week. Even though I have had work and stuff, it's just been kind of like, it was an up and down week before any of the drama that's happened. So, other than that, we've got some really good, interesting episodes coming up. So make sure, if you're not a subscriber, to subscribe, because our analytics show that a lot of people listen who don't subscribe. So why not do that small thing?
Then we can come to you instead of you coming to us.
It's nice because you'll get a notification saying we've got a new episode out. Why not check it out? And it might be well worth your time.
Yeah, so, we don't want you to miss any.
We're available on all the podcast platforms as well as YouTube. So whatever floats your boat, go and subscribe to us today.
Yay!
Well, this week's episode, like I say, we're going to be talking about the Satanic Panic. But this week's episode is brought to you in part by HelloFresh.
Yes.
HelloFresh is an exciting meal opportunity where you can go and get a meal kit with all fresh ingredients that cuts down on food waste, that gives you healthy options for your dinners.
That's all good as well.
All delivered to your address, right?
Just what you
They're
need.
offering an introductory offer of 50% off the first box and 35% off the next 3 boxes using the code in the description. And all you need to do is get on, send them what meals you'd like to order, and they'll send you all the ingredients pre-prepared.
And I'd get onto it because this deal won't be open forever.
And that it won't be.
It won't be. They will close it at one point, and with things getting harder and harder as well, they're likely to close it sooner than later. So
well, there you go. Like I say, HelloFresh is a rolling weekly meal kit that a delivery service with no minimum term contract. You choose what goes in the box and when you want it, and it's all delivered. Fresh ingredients straight to your door. And if you want to skip a week or cancel at any time, you're free to do that.
Yes.
And there's no obligation.
There is none.
Why not try it today? Link in the description.
Yeah.
HelloFresh.
It's making me hungry.
HelloFresh. The meal kit that comes in a box.
It does.
Yeah, there you go. Right, that's the most you're getting out of us. Right, so this week, Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I kind of heard that phrase being bandied around as a kid, and I was like, what's this mean? Yeah, right. And as I've got older and have kind of had to look into it. Older, wiser, fuggier.
I've got to
agree. We kind of like, you learn a bit more about it and stuff, what it actually means. Now, the Satanic Panic started kind of, I'd say early 60s, right? Yeah, like I'd say that kind of, even up to the sense of, like, you mentioned Elvis Presley.
Yeah, right, I'd say earlier. That was near enough to start.
And it's kind of that idea that, I mean, I'm not sure if you'd say it was satanic, but I'd definitely say it shown a shift in attitudes towards, like, you know, the young and what their musical tastes were compared to
they put rock
the
and
older
roll.
generation. And obviously rock and roll was like, hey, granddad, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Rock on.
And this is what our opinion is. Yeah. Take it.
And that's forever going to happen. There's always going to be an older generation that go, oh, this ain't music.
Yeah.
This isn't the music that we used to listen to.
We're saying that. We're saying that now.
Like, this is it. You'll have old age pensioners going, have you not heard of the Wu-Tang Clan?
Yeah,
or fucking something like that.
My bitch up.
Yeah, slap my bitch up. Or any of that, because it's like that. And to the youth of today is VH1 rock classics.
That's
do you know what I mean?
Classics,
or rap
man.
classics. It's not what the youth are listening to, and so it's like when an older generation can't understand it, inevitably they're fearful of it. So I think the satanic panic was a result of kind of this mentality, as well as heavily religious groups of people.
Yeah.
So the satanic panic, right? It kind of came about in several ways, because there was a lot of different things that kind of were becoming mainstream that people kind of got the wrong idea about. So like one, for instance, is Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, the role-play board game. Very demonic. Lots of demons and kind of orcs and beasts and wizards.
Dragons and stuff.
Kind of leans into the fantasy genres of kind of like, demons and kind of fantasy beasts and stuff like that, in 1984... there was a Congress committee saying that children were being forced to engage in sacrilegious behaviour, watching bizarre rituals and animal sacrifices and slaughters. I mean, there was no kind of evidence for this, right? But in 1985, Patricia Pullen joined forces with Thomas Redeker, who was the director of the National Coalition of TV Violence. To create BAD, which was basically a committee against this sort of thing, which was BAD stood for Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, fucking stop wasting your time.
So, I mean, they were kind of like, this
is wrong.
Satanic.
You shouldn't have spells
cults.
or that
I mean, at the end of the day, if you've seen Stranger Things and how the people kind of reacted against the kids in that, the latest series, about how they reacted about their D&D group, who were called the Hellfire Club, right? They're a D&D board game. They go on adventures playing on their games, but they have been seen as a cult, as a kind of a satanic gathering. They're kind of coming together because they've got similar interests of kind of like dark magic, and who knows what kind of sadistic shit they're getting up to. And this is what their mindset is. Well, but in reality, they're playing a fucking game. Right? There's nothing dark magic about it. They're having a bit of fun, adventure, like role-playing.
Well, it's like the game.
No harm.
Yeah,
right?
It's like the game that was brought out, the Ouija board. The Ouija board was but I think
there's a difference between the Ouija board, because the Ouija board or Ojo board or whatever you want to call it is kind of like, you could say that it is kind of like marketed as a tool for communication. That's
right.
Whereas playing Dungeons and Dragons isn't anything like that.
No, exactly. But it just shows how far they decided to go.
Well, BAD actually, that BAD in itself, they saw the idea of bad being good. Michael Jackson's, flip reverse of the term bad, being good as something scary, and kind of they couldn't understand why the youth were flipping convention on its head. So, they were kind of getting a bit worried. They just didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to kind of handle this. And the first kind of response they can have is kind of like, just panic. So try and panic, kind of, it's Jesus. We need Jesus on our side.
I suppose it's the first...
This is satanic.
I suppose it's that 50s, 60s, 70s generation where they actually got the chance to actually turn around and change society for, the better, or for what they deemed as how it should be.
Well, no, they actually they saw Pulling and the Bad Society saw role-playing games generally as like Dungeons and Dragons specifically as a satanic cult recruitment tool to introduce the youth to murder, satanic ritual abuse, suicide, this type of stuff, ritual suicides. They kind of see these sort of like, you know,
as an everyday
it might be kind
thing.
of marketed as a bit kind of soft and kind of aimed at children, but it's also a tool to kind of indoctrinate or to kind of, you know, wean them onto it, you know, kind of give them an introduction. I mean, this is what the BADD Society or, you know, council believed. So, you know, they also believed that, you know, stuff like heavy metal music was, again, the same sort of thing.
Quite a lot in that, I got to say, with over the generations of how it's changed from, like, you know, the album covers, like you was talking to me before.
Well, we'll go into that in a minute, because, like, basically, in terms of Dungeons and Dragons, though, right, they were convinced that there was more... statistics could back up what they were saying about Dungeons and Dragons, saying that there was more people linked to doing satanic stuff or doing ritual sacrifices or any of this stuff. More people linked to Dungeons and Dragons playing the game than any other part of society. And when they did the analysis and got back the stats, it turned out that there was not one. Because they were happy doing the gaming. They weren't
they weren't going out about to have an accident,
having trouble, making any trouble. They were happy sat in the basement, playing with the mates, on a campaign.
Well, this is... I got to say, have you ever played it?
I played it when I was younger,
Right. Were you ever frightened of any part of that when you were playing that?
No, it kind of bored me a bit, to be honest. It was just dead long-winded. For me personally, it was kind of like a bit long-winded. I had friends who were into role-play adventures, and I liked what they were doing. It felt quite creative because you were
created as a group, and you were doing something that other people wasn't.
I never saw it as kind of like a dark or a nefarious sort of thing. It just kind of came across as like an interesting hobby to have if you were into that sort of thing.
Exactly. It was a game of snakes and ladders, but more
3D.
3D,
And some of the sets did build for the campaign.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you had to build them yourself and that, and make the stories up and stuff like that. But I think like you were saying, it was more to do with, I think, the church than anything to push this to the evil side, because we don't know about it, so we're going to go totally against it.
Well, it kind of went a bit step further when the I think it's the PMRC, which was another group, right? But this was made up of, I think, like the wives of MPs. And
you mean like Mary Whitehouse and stuff? Like,
yes, kind of, yeah. And they kind of started protesting against like music, and like we were talking about rock music and heavy metal music. Now, in a sense, this kind of did a favour to kind of
it brought it to attention.
To music, and I totally agree in terms of like, if you're putting out music, then if you've got some lyrics that you might consider a bit saucy or whatever, then you have some sort of advisory sticker on the front cover, right?
Totally.
But what the PMRC did was take this to Congress, saying that, you know, that music should be have a rating like you would on a film with a PG or an 18s, 15 certificate. These
nowadays, I'd say,
And I think, like, obviously, there's music out there that has very strong language, has very strong opinions and whatever. And it, like you say, it's not for children.
Some adults as well.
But whose responsibility, bottom line, is it to, make sure that your kid's not listening to these wrong types of musical artists, right? So one of the members of this committee basically turns around and says, well, I bought my daughter the new Prince album, and one of the songs, it basically refers to a woman in a train station masturbating, right? And she kicks off, she makes big scene, it's Prince's fault, right? Now, if Prince has released an album and it's got the lyrics that are printed on the album.
Yeah, which you don't get now.
Which you don't get now, which is a big problem, right? Because obviously the physicality of an album, you could check the content, you could check the lyrics before
and sometimes
you'd
have arguments over the words of what you're actually singing. It's like, no, it's not that word, it's this word.
Well,
like,
I mean, obviously you can get that on the internet now, but I mean, it's like the music's not actually... I mean, I think a lot of people would be hard pushed to know what the kids are listening to behind, on their MP3s or Spotify without having to go through the history.
That's right.
But like, back then, the lyrics were printed on the album. It's obviously they are putting this saucy music out, but it's down to the parent to vet it before they do it.
Yeah.
So what happened was they invited a few musical artists to Congress to kind of plead their case, because they kind of come across and say, rock artists, because they were saying by doing this, it's censorship.
Yeah, well, totally,
right?
totally.
And if they they turn around and say you've got to put a thing on the record to say that it's a certain age group and means that anyone younger is not allowed to buy it or whatever, it is kind of censorship. But also, I think they agreed with them in a lot of respects, because obviously
there needed to be some kind of control there.
Yeah.
But it's fair enough.
So one of the people they invited to speak was Dean Schneider from Twisted Sister.
Oh, right, okay.
So Dean Schneider's kind of like, he kind of represents himself as a proper rocker. I mean, he's got big curly blonde hair. He's wearing jean jacket with the sleeves ripped off. He's a proper rocker look, right? Like 80s rocker, tight jeans, do you know what I mean? Like proper 80s, like he'd be there in his spandex jumpsuit if he could, but he dressed like himself, right?
Yeah.
Now I think this panel expected him to, make a scene and not deliver a good argument.
Yeah.
Whereas he basically eloquently put his point across in such a way that was just like, that it was so unexpected that he said all those things. He said, it's down to the parent to look after the kids and what content they're consuming. It's down to the parents to them to read the lyrics on the album cover before they give the album to the kids.
Totally.
It's by having a parental advisory sticker, though, it ended up becoming more of a badge of honor, more of a sort of like something that they aspired to have. I mean, it's like if you had the parental advisory sticker on your album, then it also gave you credibility.
Yes.
Yeah. It kind of backfired. It kind of did backfire on them slightly.
It did. Yeah, and it still backfires today, to be honest. I mean, because it's still put out there, but no one really looks at it, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just the sticker that they put on every single album now, you know what I mean? So anyone can go out there and buy it.
Yeah, so, I mean, he did a really good job, Dean Schneider. I mean, I do have a clip of him here.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to listen to that.
Yeah, go on then.
All right, just bear with me a second.
1 second.
Somebody approached our office that the Senate committee is having a hearing on censorship with the PMRC and wanted to know if I would come and speak. Now, my view of it, when I heard it, was they want me to carry the flag into battle. Hell yeah. Braveheart, baby. Braveheart wasn't even out, but that sort of mentality. Give me the fucking flag, man. Let's go. I knew that they were, like everybody else, grossly underestimating me. I knew that they viewed me as just another dunderheaded rocker, and they would bring me in, make me look like a fool, and I would help their cause. They did not know that I could construct a sentence and speak English fluently. And I'm there in my cut-off denim, my skin-tight jeans, my snakeskin boots, and a little bit of eye makeup left underneath, and my big hair. And I ain't getting dressed up for nobody. I'm a dirtbag, and I'm proud. And I'm playing these people like, mentally I'm setting these guys up for the kill. I have got my speech in my back pocket, which I have worked on for a few weeks and honed and refined till it's a freaking nuclear weapon. Folded up like a gazillion times, like a bad kid bringing his homework to school. When I open it up and I'm flattening it out on the table, really deliberate, and they're going, oh man, this is a lamb being brought to the slaughter. And I start reading.
Since I seem to be the only person addressing this committee today who has been a direct target of accusations from the presumably responsible PMRC, I would like to use this occasion to speak on a more personal note and show just how unfair the whole concept of lyrical interpretation and judgment can be, and how many times this can amount to little more than character assassination.
And I am just tearing apart everything.
I just want to stop there, though, right, quickly, because like what he's just said there about character assassination is they basically, like he's just said there, they expected one thing out of him, to come on and make it an embarrassment of himself and help their cause. He's not that type of person that could come out and think, but they basically misinterpret his lyrics during this Congress hearing, and they basically say, well, what about your lyrics? They're inciting violence or inciting sexual sort of deviance or whatever, right? And what his lyrics actually were about was something completely
Totally
different. Like, I think one of them was about, they say sadomasochism, but it was more about, I think it was about his bandmate having to go under the knife in surgery. Like,
right, okay.
And they interpreted it, and he says it himself, and he might say it in this next bit of clip, because I will play the end of it, because it's only quite short, but he basically says to this congresswoman, you were looking for sadomasochism, and you found it. Yeah. So, you know,
you can find it if you look for it.
You will find it if you look for it.
That's so true. They accuse me of disproving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that everything they've accused me of has been wrong, false, and they are scrambling. They were saying that Under the Blade was about sadomasochism and bondage. It was about my guitar player's throat operation.
It's not really a wild leap of the imagination to jump to the conclusion that that's about something other than surgery or hospitals, neither of which are mentioned in the song.
No, it's not a wild jump, and I think what I said in one part was that songs allow a person to put their own imagination, experiences, and dreams into the lyrics. People can interpret it many ways. Ms. Gore was looking for sadomasochism.
So it was actually Al Gore's wife,
someone looking for surgery
who kind of was giving him the beef.
I said, you know, I can't help that Tipper Gore's got a dirty mind, and Al Gore just, oh my God, you know, he really jumped over the table. They were saying, we're not going to take it. It should be on the Filthy 15.
And that was one of his tunes, We're Not Going to Take It.
It was no more violent than the Declaration of Independence.
So, yeah, there you go. I mean, that's from Dean Snyder of Twisted Sister. The full Congress hearing is available on YouTube if you do want to watch it. Yeah. And it is quite interesting. But
Fight Back.
The idea of the satanic panic hasn't really gone away. I mean, like...
I'd say it's grown.
It has grown. And, I mean, it's like to me, it kind of reminds me of, do you know when the film Monty Python and the Life of Brian was about to be released, and it was dubbed the most blasphemous film ever made, right? There was church leaders and church groups boycotting the film and making a big stink about it, going to Parliament, doing kind of like, you know, news reports on the idea that this film is going to be, you know, blasphemous and like kind of poke fun at their religion. They didn't actually see the film. They didn't know what it was. They just heard about it. And I think it's like
usually the case on fucking everything, to be honest. People have an opinion and they don't look into it before.
It's a case of that in all of these instances that it's a case of that they don't know what they're talking about.
So it's a couple of busybodies who are going around going, right, we got to look for Satan and shit. Right, it's there, and it's there.
But there are people who do the research, So there are people kind of now in the modern day who are saying, you know, the satanic panic's still going strong, it's still happening. One instance being Harry Potter.
Yes.
Right? Harry Potter could be argued as being an introduction.
Your favourite wizard.
Oh, the wonderful wizarding world of Harry Potter. Is an introduction for children into black magic,
and
into curses, and it is a film that kind of brings the darkness along with the ride. You know what I mean? It's like goes from a children's film to
an adult film to nearly a fucking
horror film in a lot of ways. I mean, it's like some kids quite scared by Voldemort or he shall not be named.
I've got to say, actually, is there actual adult? Is there actually an age limit on watching them films, to be honest.
I think the 15's the later ones, to
15.
be honest. Yeah, but I think like
15's was still a bit
argue
short.
that the kids who were into Harry Potter grew up with Harry Potter and aged with Harry Potter. But I mean, in terms of whether
who will be as young and trying to get in there to watch Harry Potter,
they do kind of introduce youngsters into the idea of kind of these sort of dark realms of kind of wizards and dark wizards and mysterious, mystical cryptids and all this type of stuff.
I think a lot of companies and governments play with our kids nowadays through their mind to get them to watching into certain stuff, and all down to the case of for money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, in terms of like historical moments, I think the Dean Schneider thing and that Congress hearing kind of, like I say, did a lot for
the fight back.
The fight back, yeah, because I mean, like, you know, like I say, the result of that was the parental advisory sticker, which ended up, like I say, becoming a badge of honor for people. It's like, you don't want the album, the soft album, you don't want the radio edit, you want the explicit version.
Yeah,
totally. And it's almost like you strive to get that. Yeah, by being more kind of extreme with your lyrics, having more graphic
it seems to
album
be more
art.
and more and more and more into the depths of there's no one there to turn around and go, whoa, you're going a bit over the limit here now. You know what I mean? Like I was saying about Mary Whitehouse, she used to be the one who would watch a TV programme and go, no, we can't have that bit in there. We can't have that bit in there because of our youth and stuff like that. And then it seemed to, when she'd passed away, that it seemed that things were getting more ruder, more, you know, daring and more, let's see how far we can go with like programs and like music and stuff like that. But then it seems to be the backlash that now you can go anywhere and listen or watch anything at any time.
Yeah.
So there's no stopping it now.
Well, I mean, although the satanic panic was kind of concentrated in the States, it did internationally spread.
Oh, yeah.
In 1987, a list of international places where people had kind of had this sort of similar thing happen was published. There was loads of different reasons why. So like there was writings on paranormal activity that appeared in the United Kingdom that kind of sprung another organisation called the SRA in Nottingham.
Okay.
And they released a British McMartin advice in part of the British Journal regarding it. In 1989, in San Francisco, police detectives interviewed a newspaper in the United Kingdom at the same time as several other therapy tortured victims gave talks on the SRA. So I don't know what that. It's kind of a bit strangled.
SRA, satanic ritual abuse. That's what that is. Yeah, so, because there's only a couple of years ago that we were talking about it, that like it was.
Oh, well, that makes more sense then.
You know
then a wave of SRA accusations appeared in New Zealand in 1991, and then in Norway in 1992.
Yeah. It seems like I looked into this quite a bit, and it seemed like they were saying that it's everywhere. Basically, it's down in every neighbourhood and that. But I don't believe it's that far along. But I do believe there is some out there. But it just depends on, you know, how far and your opinion of how far they go as well.
I don't know.
Individual
I just
opinion.
think people like, you know, kind of a variety of different things. People like being scared. People get a jump scare out of horror movies.
Yeah, of course.
They like being thrilled.
Yeah.
You know, everything's a bit vanilla. Then where's the kind of excitement in life? You know, if you can't get your heart racing. And I think that's why people latch onto the gore movies and horror movies. Whether, you know, these books like Harry Potter are sparking a rise in Satanism in children is probably a stretch. It's pretty stretch.
Yeah,
but,
maybe
I mean,
one or two. But
there was an article published in 2001 when the books were becoming popular, that actually asks, are Harry Potter books sparking a rise in Satanism in children?
Well, Gothism grew quite a lot in the 90s. You know what I mean? So, and like, there was
Goths have been going for way longer than the 90s. Yeah, and I think that's it. I think people go through a moody teenage phase where they go, nobody understands me. And you kind of go and lock yourself in your room and listen to The Cure for a bit. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever. It's like, that's just life.
You got West America where 3 kids were actually sentenced to prison for 18 years for... actually, it was the 90s, for being goths and living a goth life. And they come out, they were released in 2011.
It's a hard goth life for us.
And it was like, what the fuck?
It's a hard goth life.
You know what I mean? Because things change. Things change. They shouldn't have been arrested in the first place.
So cheap.
But it's one of them. It's one of them things. You know what I mean?
Oh, bless them.
Or like now, like we've got.
They're not called goths anymore. They're called emos. And yes,
I
totally get this. The Little Nas X thing with the Nas X trainers.
Call Me By My Name, it was called.
And he had these devil trainers, Lucifer trainers, didn't he? And there was a big outburst
Satan's
about that.
shoes, they called them.
Well, what was so special about them? They were just Nikes that he'd kind of done a collab with.
Because he infused his blood into the trainers.
Oh, you see, Kiss did a thing with like this.
There's only 666 of them done as well.
Kiss did a comic book collaboration with Marvel where they used their blood and put it in the ink. So when they printed the comics, it had Kiss's DNA in the ink. And again, Kiss is a great example of the satanic panic. Because... again, you've got these 4 guys who are dressed up in like makeup, the
costumes,
got
and
costumes
looking scary
on,
sometimes.
Exactly, and they don't understand what they're looking at, right? And for them, for a Christian churchgoer,
that's
back then, back
shit.
in the 70s and 80s, they'd be looking at them going, "Oh, this isn't normal," right? You know, I feel like it's just again a fear of not understanding. And
well, that's it.
Passing judgment, and these Christians should know better because it says in the fucking Bible, "Thou shalt not pass judgment."
Exactly, and what do they do a lot of the time? Pass judgment without even recognising what they're passing judgment for.
What you should do is go and see The Life of Brian, listen to a fucking Kiss album, and then come back to us. You don't need to go all judgy.
It's your life at the end of the day. Do what you want as long as you don't hurt or harm anybody else.
Yes.
You go and do what you need to do. You know what I mean?
Well, again, like, you know, I think people are, like, again, pretty influenced by popular culture. So if you're young and, you know, you get into a type of music like emo or goth or punk or whatever, you're going to dress and act accordingly. You're going to kind of slip into that sort of subgenre or that genre of music.
Not like there's anything wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with that,
But you'd hope they'd come out the other end.
And again, I mean, I'm not... It's like, right, kids are very easily influenced. When I first saw The Karate Kid when I was a child, I was in the back garden doing the crane kick for hours after. When
wax on.
Exactly.
Wax on.
You kind of you get into that shit. You're easily influenced.
All the cars in the neighbourhood were clean.
The kids of today, it's like, you know, they'll watch a Harry Potter movie. They're in the back garden going Expelliarmus.
Yeah, you can actually go buy one now.
Right, having a great time because they've been influenced by that. I'm not saying that they've not been influenced, but whether they've been influenced to pursue a life of black magic and ritual sacrifice is a totally separate issue.
But it's a kind of are they sneaking, which they seem to be sneaking, you know, little things in instead of going to you directly and going, do you want to learn black magic? Instead, they're Tyson, you know, little Tyses here and there.
Well, this is what this article was getting at in not so many words. It was basically suggesting that, like, they're hinting at certain things, and
which is illegal.
Not directly coming out with it, but kind of like, you know, pointing them in
a direction that this shouldn't be really going down.
Maybe. Stranger Things is another one, which is a new series, but relatively new. But again, it's talking about kind of dark elements, dark sort of situations, and a lot of people kind of don't want the kids to watch it. It is very popular with kids, and I mean, at the end of the day, if I was watching that as a child, I would have been kind of, oh, this isn't really for you. This is a grown-up series.
But it's hard for parents as well.
That's what I was going to say, because
it's hard for parents as well. Kids are hard
I don't know
to
if we've
with.
touched on this today in the show, but when we were growing up, TV channels were, you got what you got.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So if I put on a movie, if I was the director of the BBC or ITV or whatever, and I put a film on that was only going to appeal to 5% of the population, I'd get 95% complaining.
And no repeats.
So you generally have the vanilla, lineup, the lineup of programming that is going to, appeal to, the vast majority of people.
Yeah,
right?
people want to enjoy
anything specialist like a horror movie or something that was a bit different would be on early hours of the morning. You'd have to wait until 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning to watch a horror movie.
Yeah, there was times for the right programs at them days, yeah.
Yeah, well, whereas nowadays it's all on Netflix or on these apps at a push of a button, and it does that open children up to more sensitive material at a younger age.
I don't think kids should have mobiles, to be honest. I do not think they are.
That's a totally separate thing, but you're right, because in a lot of ways
it's dangerous.
Whatever you Google, whatever you want to find, you can find. And I mean, as a sensitive children, is that too much information for them?
Yeah, far too much.
Potentially is, anyway.
Some dodgy, some not.
Well, that's it. Satanic Panic. Have you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, a bit of the Illuminati. Illuminati have got a lot of that simulations as well.
Symbolism.
And a lot of the old cults. You know what I mean? Like the skulls and stuff like that. They all seem to have the connection to the devil as well.
I've got actually a couple more bits of what I discuss about.
And don't forget, there are stuff around the world that, like the bull, which is supposed to be Satan, which is in America's financial district. You've got in CERN. At the front of there, you've got in front of Denver Airport, you've got the horse there, which is the symbolization of Satan. So you've got all these things around you ordinarily as well. You know what I mean? That seem to just pop out. Like if you look at certain things, like it's like that's a bit, a bit dark there, and that's a bit dark there. But why? Generally, it's when you question why is that there.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I feel like there is kind of a lot of symbolism in terms of that respect, but I mean, it's like, why are people not protesting those weird symbolistic things and not going after just culture?
Yeah,
it's like with that with Twisted Sister. I mean, they just want to write tunes. The musicians at the end of the day, right? Totally. And they just want to write the music and get on with a career. Yeah, but when people start throwing accusations saying your music is damaging the fabric of society and it's warping our fragile children's mind. It's like, wait a minute, all I've ever done is entertain. So where's this coming from? And I understand how because of a couple of narrow-minded people who don't take them busybodies and kind of fucking, fence talkers and all that, who don't bother to check out the stuff beforehand.
Believe what you hear.
Who want to blame other people without blaming themselves, right? Or taking responsibility for their actions by not vetting the stuff that the media that the children are consuming. And I mean, it goes back to the 80s. It goes back to the 80s, but I feel like, it is more prominent, and it's not the satanic panic that's the important message in this. It's the you have the responsibility to monitor what content you are watching, but also what your children are watching. So I mean, the panic is take responsibility. If you don't, you take responsibility, there shouldn't be a panic. That's it.
That is it. One thing. All you need to do: responsibility. Take care of yourselves and those around you.
I mean, I'm not going to end it there. I do have do you know? We talked about this in our very first episode. Backwards masking.
Oh, yes.
So backwards masking's famous. It's been kind of one of those things that have, cropped up generally loads of places. You know, like if you don't know what it is, it was a trend during like the early 60s, 70s of hiding messages in your music, by basically reversing it and placing it in your track. So when you played the record backwards, you'd hear a hidden message. Now there was loads of different versions and reasons, and kind of like in our first episode we talked about it because it kind of was supposed to give hints on Paul McCartney's death and how he died, and that this new guy was a fake.
Yeah, that's right.
But since then, the likes of Pink Floyd, John Lennon's supposedly put out stuff with backwards masking on his own stuff.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of Beatles stuff in there.
There is quite a lot of Beatles stuff, but there's a lot. Missy Elliott supposedly put something out. Can you on the tune?
Yeah, she did it at the end.
Can you work, kid? That tune.
Yeah, but that was for a price. That was for some money. If you could reverse it back and find out exactly what she said at the end of the tune.
And what did she say?
You'd get, I think it was something like $5,000 or something.
So the Beatles, Free as a Bird, apparently it says turned out nice again if you reverse it.
Okay.
At the drive-in says 300 hertz. Or what is it? MHZ. So I think that kind of relates to something like sound or whatever.
Well, yeah. That's not 300 hertz. It's not good. And don't forget, music was played at 360 megahertz, but now it's played at 440 megahertz, which is more bad for your brain, more suggestible, basically.
Well, in Cradle of Filth album, I think it was Dinner at the Deviant's Palace, the album. It says it basically has an unusual sound, and the reversal reads the Lord's Prayer.
Backwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there was a thing for Halloween where if you put it on and say the Lord's in front of a mirror and a candle, you say the Lord's Prayer backwards at 12 o'clock on Halloween, you're supposed to quickly see the devil, then you say it again, you'll quickly see him again, and you say it third time and he comes out again.
See what I mean? It's all of it. Eminem even had some backward masking.
Yes, he did.
Is it Simulate or Stimulate album?
Yeah.
At the end of the album, it says, "I'm here. I'm not here to save you. I'm only here to ride. So let me entertain you, and everything will be fine."
Yeah. Well, there's a lot in the 90s, wasn't there?
Well, I think it kind of came back as kind of a little neat trick to kind of add extra depth to your album by putting some sort of hidden message that only a very few fans are going to kind of stumble upon.
Yeah. Little Easter eggs.
But, I mean, back then, when you've got bands like Judas Priest or, like, I don't know, Twisted Sister, perhaps, or any of these bands that, like, have got the rock and roll and got a bit of, they've got a bit of a, they're dark a bit kind of dark. Then potentially having these messages. And again, it's interpretation. It's how you interpret what you're hearing. Yeah. So, to you, it's like he said to Al Gore's wife, you went looking for dirty-minded stuff and you found it. Yeah. So it's like if you're in that mindset and you're listening out for that type of lyrical
everything
content,
else will be blanked out.
Exactly. So, it's a case of who you are and what you're looking for and why you're listening like that in the first place.
I think it's all a bit
kind of satanic. Yeah, she might have been.
Yeah, she might be.
Al Gore was about to jump over the table, apparently.
Oh, right, was it? Oh, Jesus.
You must have seen Man Bear Pig.
Yeah.
Oh, Man Bear Pig. Pink Floyd went backward masking. But, it was very popular. But, again, I say, hiding messages to some people is, like, very intrusive or evasive. It's like, why are you trying? Is it subliminal? Are you trying to put something in my head that I don't want? That I'm not, actually knowing that I'm absolutely absorbing.
Yeah. I could.
So having a backwards mass track. Some people might think that was too much, but again, some people might think it gives you depth to the album. It's something special for the fans. You might never hear it, but you might. But anyway,
true. Some would do it for the funny part and the extra, little extra to your fans, like you say, but maybe even some of them have done it for actually, being dark. And that's the question. Is it done deliberately, and is it done in the right
devil's work
way?
That is the point, isn't it? Is it, or is rock and roll or South Park or anything that's got a bit of an edge?
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Is it all?
Well, I think it's more, like you were saying before, it's more open, so we can't judge it anymore.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's like in terms of what I like, what entertains people nowadays isn't,
people getting a freaky
some people might watch a horror movie, but then go to church on Sunday. Does that make them satanic? Yeah. Does it make them for watching that movie or for following a band that might have a kind of an alter ego of a kind of devil worshipping sort of that attitude? You don't know. I mean, it's like you can't judge somebody on what content they consume, for one.
You never judge a book by its cover.
And I mean, like you were saying again earlier about kind of how people model themselves, and like when you're younger, your musical influences is your whole identity in a lot of respects.
Yeah, totally.
So if you're a goth and you listen to kind of like emo kind of goth music, then you're going to identify and dress kind of gothy. Yeah. But then that kind of puts you in a position where people look at you in a way and say, he's satanic, he's this, he's that.
And judging the book.
And judge before,
by the cover.
without reading it, basically.
Yeah, but don't you find that seems to be this, the thing with nearly everything at the minute now? Religion, sex, male, female. There's all them judgments at the minute, like we're questioning ourselves on what's actually...
And everyone goes on that we're supposed to be super tolerant at the moment as well, and I don't really believe that is the case. I do still feel like people are a bit judgy. And not only that, it's like you have a problem and go, oh, wait, so this has happened, and then someone goes, yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah, well, anyway. It is one. There's a guy who's gone all around the world and spoke to women, and he's asked one question. It's pretty popular at the minute, and the one question is actually what the show's called, is what is a woman? He goes up to women and asks a woman, what is a woman?
Okay.
And he's never got the right answer back. He really has never got the answer back, but he's been around the world just asking one question.
But that just proves that what he thinks as a man a woman isn't what every other woman believes a woman is. That just proves to me that he doesn't have a clue what a woman is.
Well, no, because he ended up going
to what do you think?
These, top scientists and psychologists and that.
Were any of these scientists men?
Well, what is a woman? And even they could not. There was even some argument on throwing him out, just asking that question, and it just shows that just one simple question could mean you don't actually know the definition of that question.
But that just proves to me that that suggests to me, I should say, that he came up with what I've got my idea of what a woman is, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go out and ask all these women, and you've just said no one's given him the right answer, which the right answer would only be what he thought was the correct answer. Which matched up with his personal opinion, right? And not one woman's give him that answer. Which proves that he doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Therapists or, all the top.
I'll say it.
Doctors,
Nate,
and that.
If you've got an opinion on this, ladies, leave a comment.
Yeah. Leave a comment. I'll go and listen to it, because it's
what's he called?
Wild. It's called. I can't remember his name, but I do know the name of the show is What Is a Woman.
What is a woman? Go and check it out. I think I might.
It's pretty big at the minute. He's got everywhere at the moment, and it's like I just noticed him, and it was like,
there you go.
Just one simple question. Then what's a man? What's a child? What do you call a goat? What do you call a mouse? What do you call a lettuce? You know what I mean? Brick.
What is a tiramisu?
What is a brick? Yeah, you know what I mean?
But some stuff can be answered dead easily. I mean, when you start trying
but it's all on your interpretation.
Well, no, because I mean, you say, what is a brick? You can answer that.
Yeah, but your brick form may be different in colour and different.
No, because the principal core functions of a brick are that. You can answer that question with in bullet point form by saying a brick is a building material that is generally a hard block that is used to build a house.
Well, they
or
might
a structure.
do it in circles or squares.
But they won't, because brick's fucking brick.
Well,
you're just
then
trying to
it's
be
not a
pedantic
brick.
now. Stop it.
Well, no, but that's your interpretation or the interpretation of the dictionary, but it's not everyone's interpretation.
He's totally gone off us our topics tonight anyway. Right, well, anyway, that was the end of the satanic panic.
Yeah.
Or the Taylor panic.
I'm not panicked.
If you don't know
I'm
what
chilled,
a brick is,
bro. I'm chilled, man. Yeah.
If
you don't know,
if you build circular bricks, you let me know, because Taylor wants to buy a stock of them.
Well, put it this way: orange used to be red.
We had an argument in work the other day about what colour a chair was, because half of us said it was orange and a few of us said it was red, but I think the overall consensus was it was a shade of orange. But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, but the thing is,
one man's orange is another colourblind man's blue.
Well, but your orange. Everybody's got a different tint of what orange that would be.
You're a banana.
So my orange would be different to your orange, because it's what what the body's programmed us to do.
Right. Well, on that note. Well, without further ado, we got some news to go through. Should we get on with it?
We shall.
Oh, well, here we go. Oh. It's the news!
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's been, like I say, we've been a busy week in terms of news, but we do have some more.
We have.
There is some Queenie-related news in tonight's news.
Yeah, there certainly is.
One of which is you're going to kick us off with
the new king. King Charles III.
Charles,
yeah.
I mean, he's waited a long time.
Yeah, but he could be a bit of a worry.
Why? You said this to me earlier. I mean, you were saying, like, you've said a couple of times recently that he's on some sort of committee of, like,
the World Economic Forum.
The World Economic Forum, and something about the big reset.
Yeah,
so now
basically.
He's the king. I mean, does that not mean, like, he can do whatever he wants in that respect?
Well, in certain ways, but he can have political influence. But it seems to be, like, because it's at the perfect time. You know what I mean? To people around the world are kicking off at the minute. It's not been advertised that there's been loads of protests around the world, which should be. But then a part of that responsibility is because of the World Economic Forum, not all because of the gas, because that doesn't blame for why does the CO2 got to be coming from the Netherlands and stuff like that. You know, the little bits that are happening all around the world. And he could be a good...
lot of stuff's connected in that respect. But, I mean, it's like, who knows? I think it's only going to be the next, like, couple of months that we're going to see what any sort of...
which routes he's going to roughly go to.
Depends when they try and implement. I mean, if
you want it by 2030, don't they?
Well, there's still a couple of years. I mean, that's a long time for, any sort of new leader to become more established. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Canada has no plans to replace the Queen with King Charles III on its money.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I like that idea.
So, I mean, we did see, you saw something about our money. Here in the UK. What was that?
The Bank of England have actually come out and said that they're going to change the money and stamps, but it's going to be a little time beforehand. We're going to let it be as it is for now, and in future, I think they're going to do stuff like they're going to start with the notes, like £50 note, right? You got the king there. Then you're going to have the 20, then the 10 fives, and then it go down to the pounds, the £2 and that. I think that's how it's gradually going to come in. But
I think like they'll probably...
There's no rush, I don't think.
They'll probably just kind of do a last run of maybe a commemorative sort of run of coins or something, and then start printing the King Charles coins, and like you say, kind of start kind of getting them, weaning them out or whatever.
Well, I got a connection, another piece of news roughly to do with this, which was a British man listed a £50 note of the Queen's face on eBay for £10,000 45 minutes after they found out the Queen had
died.
That's
just greed. That's like the guy who bought all the hand sanitizer and toilet roll at the pandemic. It's like, oh, shit, trying to use what's going on in the world to kind of profit.
Yeah, and then even some people try to sell it back.
The things that they're trying to profit on are a bit kind of morbid and a bit like, morose. You should just chill.
Yeah.
You should just do stuff like that anyway.
Totally.
I found this one about our new PM, Liz Truss.
Oh, yeah.
So a woman called Liz Trussell, who has appeared to have nabbed the Twitter handle Liz Truss before the new Conservative leader, has been sending out cheeky replies to people, like including the Prime Minister of Sweden.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so she's been having a bit of fun with it. And sending out some pretty saucy replies. So Miss Truss appeared to have nabbed the Twitter handle of @Liz Truss. Before the Conservative leader. But like some people might have, contacted these people who tweeted them by mistake and, correct them. But no, she started sending cheeky replies with a bit of hilarious results.
All right.
So, somebody, I think it was the, who was it? Somebody, co-leader of the Green Party, thought she had, contacted her.
Yeah.
But basically she said it still does. Boris Johnson, so they were saying about Boris Johnson and Brexit, so she's come back with still doesn't get it. Boris Johnson did not get Brexit done. His myriad of mistakes of COVID cost countless lives, and he leaves having disgraced his office. Meanwhile, she campaigns as a right-wing ideology and will govern as such. Which is so she's basically this is what she's putting. She's being like hardliner there, but it's not her sending the tweet.
Yeah.
But the people who she's responding to are quite influential people. So it's quite funny.
Yeah.
In one respect or another, but like she's not going and correcting these people, which is kind of comical.
That's fair enough. She doesn't have to. You know what I mean? It's they didn't check beforehand. They should have checked beforehand, made sure it was a secure and the right person they were talking to.
Well, pretty much.
Just automatically
they assume that you're talking to the right person. I've done this before where I've tried tweeting somebody or getting in contact with someone and they've just had the same name, and it's been very difficult to try and differentiate. So you've got to kind of put out a message and go, is this you? And then hopefully they'll go, no, it's not. I think you got the wrong person. Do you know what I mean? But like if you... They could turn around and go, yeah, what do you want?
Well, if it gets ignored, you know it's them. It's generally the thing on that one.
Have you got anything else you want to talk about?
We spoke a little bit about it at the beginning, like the 9/11 coming up today, actually, isn't it? It's
well,
today.
It is now.
I wonder if the ceremony's still going to go off because I believe Biden's going to come over here for the funeral as well.
Okay, so I reckon that there will be some sort of commemorative thing going on in the States. I mean, a lot of things were cancelled here over the weekend, like all the sporting events and a lot of events. But European events were still going on, so I assume that will still take place.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got kind of like an idea that there is a lot of kind of countries that are, kind of in mourning or supportive of what's gone on here, but not to the extent that, they stop things from going ahead. I think here in Britain we have a different attitude because it's our monarch, but I do believe that will happen, and obviously we'll be all thinking about that tomorrow as well. Many
definitely.
People who kind of lost their lives in 9/11.
Yeah, over 3,000. Yeah, well.
We have. I've got another story again relating to the Queen Elizabeth II's death.
Okay.
So many Indians.
Oh yeah.
Are demanding the return of the I'm going to say this wrong. Kinnaur diamond.
Jog on. Yeah. What the fuck?
So it's in the headpiece of the Queen Mum's crown.
Yeah.
And
it should be staying
they're saying that they kind of want that back now. It's one of the biggest diamonds ever found.
20 trillion. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you how many carats it is, or however you measure a diamond.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, no, they've got a cheek. What 48 hours after After the Queen died? Oh, I want diamonds, mate.
It's known as one of the most famous gems.
Yeah.
It's just is one of 2,800 stones that's set into the crown made for Elizabeth's mother.
Yeah.
Known as the Queen Mother. But the 105 carat oval shaped diamond is the crown jewel in the crown. Do you know what I mean?
Big shalanta.
There's many people from in India claiming that they should have it returned. I mean, I don't know why they'd have that, why they'd need that, or what the right behind that would be.
Well, I suppose. Well,
I mean, there is a history behind it.
It was theft at the end of the day, and there has been a lot. To be honest, there has been a lot of transitions over monuments. I think it was a country in Africa that actually asked the
British
British
it was mined
Museum.
in the 12th to 14th century and is believed to have been 793 carats uncut. And the earliest record puts it in the hands of the Mongols in the 16th century, and it was seized by Afghans. So it's got a bit of a history. Potentially, I mean, in terms of like historical significance, maybe
we can't
they
be giving stuff
claim that it's got historical significance to them, to them more than us. Do you know what I mean?
But hold on, no. But we're better to keep it secure than in the Tower of London. You know what I mean? It's the best place to keep it. What are you gonna start selling it? Because as soon as it goes,
well, I mean, it's
like
going to
get sold.
It's gone from being like a 793 carat uncut diamond, which was the earliest record, to 105 carat oval shaped.
Jewel. You can come and visit and have a look at it. That's all you're getting.
Of it?
That's all you're getting. Because I believe it was put into two pieces. And that was the larger of the piece, and then they made a smaller one, which I think maybe on the stick, maybe on another crown. I can't remember. I do remember the cut it down though. It was into.
Okay.
Because I actually watched about the crown jewels the other month. Funny enough.
Really?
Just checking it out, just seeing.
This isn't I kind of do that. I find like something will come on and I go, oh yeah, this might be interesting.
Yeah. It's a bit of history in that, you know what I mean? And it's the monarch.
Have you seen what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment?
Yes.
So the Ukraine seems to be fighting back against Russia and reclaiming territories in some places.
Good reoffensive.
I found this story, and I mean, I don't know if this is legit and it is actually helping them.
Okay.
But Ukrainian hackers have created fake profiles on dating apps.
Oh, yeah.
Of attractive women to trick Russian soldiers into sharing their locations.
Beautiful work. Beautiful
work. Hey, where are you?
Yeah.
May want to meet up.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. Here's a missile up your bum.
that days later, the bases were blown up.
Yeah.
So, they're using these, Tinder profiles and all the rest of it. Because GPS as well on these locations, which say you're how many miles away or kilometres away.
Yeah, not only that, they're actually hitting the transport and the stocks and that coming in. They're bringing more reinforcements and stocks. Well, while the soldiers are on the back of the wagons, what else have they got to do? I'm on my phone. Now I can target where you are. That's why they shouldn't have phones in certain areas and certain jobs.
I don't think the military should be using phones. I think
they've been caught out. Look in America with
using secure lines and secure military radios.
Yeah, or them running fucking watches. Look what happened in Alaska when you
when they basically they pinpointed somebody's secret laboratory because they had the guy's Fitbit.
I'm a dum, I'm just gonna put it on. Yeah, right.
GPS data in a location where he shouldn't have been. Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? So it's fucking, some people, some governments.
But it's like you were saying about the Ukraine. I mean, you would have think that they might have gone, well, if you're going to start coming into our land, they come into theirs and kind of do a trade-off potentially. But it's like,
well, at the end they're going to have a trade-off of some summit.
Well, it looks like they're pushing back. Hopefully, it'll kind of...
He's reinforcing, that's the thing. So hopefully the soldiers are going on the raps and going, yeah, I like to see you beautiful. What's this coming? I hear a noise.
There's a lot going on in the world, isn't there?
Yeah, far too much, to be honest, to handle.
This kind of just tops it off, because I found this story coming out in Nigeria, where they seized donkey penises.
You what?
Yeah, a lot of donkey penises were trying to be smuggled to Hong Kong.
Oh, kinky.
For what reason? I don't know. Is it a
delicacy? It'd be for medicine, I'd imagine.
Really?
Yeah. They still do a lot in the Middle East.
Well, these Nigerian officials have seized thousands of donkey penises that were about to be exported to Hong Kong, officials said on Thursday. Stacks of penises and male genitals were seized at the international airport of Lagos, which is the largest city out of Nigeria. Yeah. Nigeria Customs Service commander told reporters that they were falsely declared as cow male genitalia.
Oh, right.
So I mean, I don't know what the difference is.
Because they'd be going to a different place.
Cow willies, okay. Donkey penises, not so okay.
Yeah,
what you doing with these guys?
Well, I suppose you got consider it's like Australia. You know, you can't have this, you can't have that, or
yeah,
you
but
can't
that's
have
because of the
things.
ecosystem. But what are these actually being used for? So I mean, they said they were discovered that they were actually donkey male genitalia, and a total of 16 stacks of genitalia were seized. He said, "I'm still having trouble." An investigation has been launched to find out more information about the seizure.
About these cocks.
But although the seizure of donkey genitalia meant that the export from Nigeria is rare, donkey skin are also known to frequently export and be smuggled out of the country. So
it's to stop the smuggling.
They say it's worth up to $116,000 worth of donkey skin.
Whoa, nice. So
now, I never thought donkey skin was that popular, that necessary in life.
Well, anything is expensive to someone who hasn't or desperately needs it.
Weird that though. I mean, donkey skin shoes, donkey skin belts, big long penis belts.
We're still we seem to forget that we're still in that kind of thing of we're still trading animals. When we should have stopped that a long time ago.
Stopped a long time ago.
And it's just a case that, like the western side and the east and a bit of Africa, a lot of Africa actually is actually doing a lot about it. But then you've got other countries that take, you know what I mean, and you can't. That's their culture though. That's a part of their culture. So it's about changing culture there, so then you're standing in a different area as well, because then there's more attachments to that, so you got to keep changing all the different things, and that's where conflicts and that come from as well. That's what I mean?
That's true.
Well, we needed to stop it years ago, but I think the mindset of a lot of people is it's not that there's not that much going on, but in matter of fact there's a lot more going on than we're really realising about until little things like this come up.
That's fair enough. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else you want to talk about in the news? I've got one more story before we go into NASA news. I think it's going to be quite a short news today.
Yeah. I've got two. I've got one for Britain, which the DVLA warning that they're going to charge £1,000 for anyone who parks their car in the garage over the winter period, and I know why. And the reason why is because whenever you're not using the vehicle, you must tell the DVLA, because the car is theirs. You're just the minder of it, so you've got to register like everything to them, basically. So that's where
that doesn't make sense if you buy a car.
Yeah, if you buy a car, if you have a look on the certificate that you get from DVLA on your license. It says at the bottom, you're the registered keeper. You're not the actual owner. You've basically give the car to them so you can borrow that car and they will charge you for it. That's why you pay tax, insurance, MOT and all that kind of shit.
That's a bit scammy.
It is a massive scam, but people.
I'm not a driver, and you've just made me go. Huh?
Well, it's not a car. I don't drive it. It's a private conveyance. That's what it really is under the law, but people don't know it's called the private conveyance. And we're saying
there you go. You learn something new every day.
You don't need a driving license, insurance, MOT, or that. But people have tried it, but they've for some reason. Because
so when you get stopped by the police, you're like, "Sorry, sir, it's a private conveyance. I don't need a driving license." And they go, "Pull another one, mate."
It's actually in there. In fact, in fact, as well, I'd like to make this announcement as well. I was wrong on something because it's. I've just found out that someone didn't check the law on something.
Taylor didn't check the law on something, and he was wrong.
There's people going around saying that you can, which I said, where if you can't pay your gas, then you get someone to take the actual gas compliance out and give it to the company, and you go online and buy another one and put it in there, and then it doesn't register anyone. Well, there were certain laws.
I don't remember you saying that, but if you
I've said it a few times, like it's the easiest way to not paying gas because. You're not with a company. That is your own gas compliance.
2 hours later.
Yeah, I know. I have said it a few times, but it's a case that you can ring up the not the gas company, but the people that run the gas companies, and they've got no one to charge, so you get it for free.
Right, okay.
It was tried a long while ago.
I was actually thinking of an episode about how to get free energy.
Yeah, well, you can't. Anyone who gets free energy will get closed down no matter what.
No.
Because you do not.
These ways.
Well, I don't know. Because if the government find out, they want you taxed.
Well, we might have to do an episode on it.
You know what? We should do. Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but I
totally agree.
Yeah. Have you got another story? I've got one more.
I've got one more.
NASA news. Go for it.
Yeah, Australia. Australian teachers, 26,000, I believe, of them, woke up a couple of days ago with a memo stating to them that if they didn't have the jab, expect half your pay. Unless you've had the jab, you won't get fully paid. Which I believe that will break their contracts out of there. I hope someone goes and sues them now for that, because COVID weren't around or anything like that when like 5 years ago. So if there's nothing in the contract to say that, if you don't have this medication that I tell you to have, then we're going to take half your pay. Hold on, if you're going to take half my pay, I'm going to do half my work then. You know what I mean? It's a case that
I'm only going to teach half the kids.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, the other half can go home and complain to the mum and dads saying that I'm not being taught. Oh, why are you not being taught? Well, I'm not getting paid for these lot, not this lot as well.
Well, no, you just put 50% less effort into teaching all of them.
Well, yeah, I would have said go part-time, but then you'll get half of your half.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you only get half of your wage. Exactly, you can't beat the system in that respect.
Well, yes. So I reckon they're actually going to start protesting about it. I hope they do, because it needs to be reversed. Cause
again, it's like what happened here with the NHS, and there was a lot of people who were told they were losing their jobs for not taking the jab, and that was reversed, and it was like rightly so, because at the end of the day,
a lot of them ain't going back.
You can't. Penalise somebody for having different outlook and a different viewpoint to yourself, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
Apart from this woman, in my next story, who decided that she was too hot was the reason why the police arrested her and detained her.
What?
And she basically was being detained for leaving a restaurant with an unpaid bill. Yeah, at an airport. She was basically she'd left the restaurant and was found having a nap in one of the terminals by the police. When they arrested her, she said that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police had harassed her because she was too good looking.
Had to be Las Vegas, didn't it?
Yeah, the young woman had another outstanding warrant from the Las Vegas Municipal Court. So the authorities were obviously discovered that, and she was arrested. So.
It's not all brights and sparks around there.
It's nothing about being attractive. It's like when you're breaking the law. Do you know what I mean? Some people just think they're above it. Do you know what I mean?
and like the law says, there is no excuse. You have no excuse not knowing the law.
For not knowing it. Well, surely you should just learn it. I've got right. So moving into NASA news, I do have quite an important story here because these videos going round about the James Webb Telescope, basically suggesting that it is now disproven the Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And now these you'll come across them on YouTube because they're being heavily pushed, and if you obviously have an interest in those type of videos, those are the videos that are getting recommended. Right. The video itself is really quite well presented and put together. But it claims that the James Webb Telescope has now disproven the Big Bang Theory, which is absolutely bullshit.
I believe the other... I think actually the other day I had something like that, but I skipped it.
Yeah, well, I watched a bit of it because I was interested to find out what that was actually about.
Yeah. I thought it was bullshit straight
But
off.
the James Webb Telescope, or the JWST, has not disproven the Big Bang Theory, despite an article published, as well as this video that went viral in August, which basically misinterprets quotes from astronomy people, and it gives a false narrative of the Big Bang, saying it didn't even happen. Although the James Webb Telescope has only just basically started giving information back for a few months, it's already made some iconic discoveries, including detections of what could be some of the earliest galaxies ever seen, as well as a lot more stuff. But I mean, it's not disproven anything. Do you know what I mean?
No,
and
in fact, all the scientists still believe, as far as I'm aware, maybe an odd one that doesn't, that the Big Bang still exists. But the issue is that there's issues in different areas of how it began. You know what I mean? So it is still the fact that it's the Big Bang theory, but if individual scientists will have their own little bit of
I'm sure they do, but I mean, as an overall theory, it's not been disproven, and that's what this article in this video is suggesting.
But the question is, if it does,
James Webb has been instrumental in disproving this, which is not true.
It isn't true at the moment.
Misinformation been put out there, definitely.
But the question is, what if that does come out in future and it ends up being, well, the Big Bang didn't actually happen? Then it questions on what happened then.
We're just back to square one.
Yeah, we are.
At least we've got some sort of understanding.
We've got a clear answer.
We've got an idea.
Or it is.
We've got an idea of how it works. But at the end of the day, if that is disproven, then
which I don't think it's going to.
Think about it this way, right? If it is disproven, then we've been afforded some more new information that has disproven it.
Yeah.
Right? Perhaps. The new information that disproves the theory will have the answers, or
hopefully
provide more questions
in
pursuit of that answer. So it's not something to worry about, because I think any theory that is actually ever disproven it has to result in going forward in exploration and scientific research and knowledge, because it must have gleaned us a bit more information to kind of
look at all the information to get there.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we had the information to suggest that it wasn't right, then we must have some more information to go forward, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, and by now we would have worked out that it was a pinpoint or not. But obviously, there has to have been a pinpoint, which they're proving that there was a pinpoint of when all this happened. But it's the question of some scientists are trying to put equations in for one way, and then other ones are putting theories in for others, and it's just which one fits, and that's all we're looking for at the minute. But yeah, as it stands, the Big Bang did happen. There's no way it couldn't. Yeah, there's no way it couldn't.
Bazinga.
Bazinga.
Yeah,
no, it's not definitely not a bazinga.
Well, I've got one last NASA story for today, and it's basically, do you know, like the Navy and the CIA or whoever released all them UFO videos?
Oh yeah.
Well, the Navy's now saying
Pentagon.
that, because I think people were thinking that now
a little bit's come out,
they're going to be continuously releasing these videos, but the Navy have said all UFO videos are still classified and won't be released.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it going to be a case of that we're going to just have to wait for another 60 years before they're... fair game again.
By what you've just read there, is proving that, like from 2014, they do agree now that there is UFOs.
We've got them. We're just not showing them.
And it's the case now of, well, look, we know you've got these fucking things. Now show us.
We've talked about it. We've talked about kind of like these new committees that are being formed.
Yeah, and then disformed or like some dodgy
So
shit
it's people like this who are requesting the information and not getting anywhere. So a watchdog group seeking access to unidentified flying saucer footage has been rejected on numerous occasions with an ambiguous message that's due to heavy classification. None of the government's media on UFOs will be released.
It's bollocks, Mike. It's bollocks.
So the Black Vault reported this week that starting in April 2020, it sought to acquire all unidentified aerial phenomena videos from files from the Naval Air Services.
It's a good website to go to there.
Yeah, the Black Vault is good. If you're interested in, the UFO and ufology community.
Or Black Vault 7 as well.
Just basically classified documents.
Yeah, he collects all of them.
All of them, So you're able to kind of read through anything you're interested in, whether it be JFK
and it's quick speed as well. You don't have to go through all the shit.
UFology
the documents
or whatever. Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, it's a really, really good place to go to. I would second it to MUFON, to be honest. But even then, I'd probably go to him before MUFON.
Well, MUFON's getting a bit of bad press recently for some... They do occasionally, don't they?
Yeah, there's been a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, I heard when WikiLeaks and all that was being closed down or trying to be closed down and stuff like that. There was whispers going around that the CIA actually entered into WikiLeaks and was taking control of it. The same thing happened with this as well, and it was like, is there movements behind the background of cover-ups?
Well, no, I think a lot of the time when you get people like the CIA or agencies like them acquiring websites like MUFON or the Black Vault or anything like that, it's because they want to get information on the users, the people who were using this website. Who is it and what are their... I mean, your website's a website, but who's using the website? Yeah, you can kind of easily find out who that site belongs to, but who's coming and reading that information and what they're doing with it is the why these kind of agencies want to get involved and try and kind of leave it open for a bit, but operate in the background.
Well, and they've had some successes and some busts, to be honest. I mean... look at the success that the CIA had with Nintendo. Nintendo, I think it was about to close down because they didn't have enough money. So the CIA gave them $10 million, bought the company.
Said, I really want to play Mario 2.
Well, and actually got, people walking around with their phones and that in people's houses and that, going for that game, to collect a monster in a ball.
Oh, Pokemon Go.
Pokemon, yeah, that's it. But
that wasn't even that long ago. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was a case of that there was something a bit suspicious going on with that, and it was a bit kind of.
The CIA gave them.
I think Angry Birds has got something like that as well.
Yeah. But they do it in a lot of places that we don't look or So information that you're trying to get keep hold of and not lose. Is actually being lost through systems like that, government agencies buying or promoting by giving money to another agency to actually contain information or try and get information on other people. In one way, it's good to getting rid of, terrorism or, big groups of gangs and that. But a lot of the time, they're still getting a lot of the innocent people's information that they don't really wish to have and inquire. A lot of people don't want their information out there, but it's hard not to.
More and more, it's all out online, isn't it? A lot of the time, and I mean, it's a very dangerous situation to be able to kind of try and keep track of your information and passwords and stuff when you have to sign up and log into so many different sites. It's crazy. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it for the show tonight.
I think I've had my rant.
Fair enough. I mean, it's been an emotional week.
It has.
We'll be back next week with a just regular scheduled episode.
Yes, we will.
I think we're coming up to 189 next week. Getting on to the 190s.
We're getting near there, mate.
Almost episode 200. It's creeping up on us.
It is.
So we'll be back next time. If you are interested in subscribing, we're available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, we're there. We're available on YouTube as well, so make sure you subscribe on there. Go and check the website out at neverastraightanswer.co.uk, where you can find loads of videos and blogs and news stories and all sorts. There's plenty to keep you entertained.
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
And if you want to contact us, there's a contact page there where you can drop us an email. If you want to be a guest on the show, do it through there. Send us an email with why you'd like to come on the show, and we'll have a look.
Yeah,
see if you want to come on. We should have some more guests coming up, actually.
Yeah.
People are always asking. They do like the fact that when we have guests on. So, again, if you want to be a guest on the show, drop us an email.
I've got some emails to send off to some people.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yes, we'll get some
I mean, I was going to say something then, but what am I missing? If you want to help us out and get involved with Patreon, go over to Patreon. You can sign up and join one of our tiers of agent, special agent, or beyond top secret.
Be very grateful.
All great.
Yes.
It helps us out a lot and helps us continue the show.
It does. If you want to buy some merch as well, we've got T-shirts, mugs,
hats, rubber cuddly toys,
carpets,
condoms.
Cars, motorcycles, trains.
It just reminded me of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
We've got Spaceballs, the lunchbox, Spaceballs, the thermos flask.
Oh, whistle.
Spacebox. Right, I'm getting tired. Right, well, that's the end of the show for us. If you've got this far, really appreciate it. And I only got one thing last to say, actually. God save the king.
I was just about to say that myself. God save the king. Hopefully you have a good reign. I've been Taylor.
Peace.
Out.